Roger Maris, a name that Yankee fans know just as well as Derek Jeter, Whitey Ford, Mickey Mantle, Reggie Jackson, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, and yes, Babe Ruth. However, if it wasn't for one magical season, Roger Maris would just be another name forgotten about in the shuffle of baseball's nearly 20,000 player fraternity. Now in today's video, we are going to be looking back at Roger Maris's professional career, how it started, where he's been, and how breaking one of baseball's most historic records nearly broke the man. Now before we get into all that, guys, I'm going to need you to do a couple things for me, please. First, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Next, go over, smash the red button, go subscribe. That is the best way to show your support here on the channel. Then go over, ring that bell, get notified so you know when exactly I'm uploading great baseball content here on the channel. And finally, if you want to get active, leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts about this Roger Maris story I will be presenting to you here today. Now that that's out of the way, let's just get on into it. Roger Eugene Maris was born on September the 10th, 1934 in Hibbing, Minnesota to Rudolph S. and Ann C. Maris. Now the Maris family moved to Fargo, North Dakota in 1946. In 1950, Maris, who was a Roman Catholic, transferred to Bishop Shanley High School and played both baseball and football until he graduated in '52. Maris's professional baseball career started out with the Indians organization as he was first assigned to the Fargo Moorhead Twins in 1953. In fact, Maris earned Rookie of the Year honors in the Northern League that year, '53, after he batted .325, slugged .495, racked up 136 hits, 80 RBIs, and 9 home runs. All in all, Maris would spend 4 total seasons down on the farm from 1953 to 1956, in which he racked up a .303 batting average, a .476 slugging percentage, 550 hits, 353 RBIs, and 78 home runs. Finally, Maris was able to break through into the big leagues in April of 1957. 2 days after his debut on April the 18th, Maris cracked his first big league home run, a grand slam in fact, off Jack Crimean of the Detroit Tigers at Briggs Stadium. He finished his rookie season with a .235 batting average, a .749 OPS, 51 RBIs, and 14 home runs. The next season, in 1958, Maris only lasted 51 games with the Tribe before he was dealt to the Athletics, who were then playing in Kansas City. In Maris's first go-around with KC, in the later half of '58, he was able to rack up 53 RBIs, 19 home runs, and post a .247 batting average. Roger lasted just one more season in Kansas City. That was in 1959, where he posted a .273 batting average, an .824 OPS. Both were the highest of his major league career up to that point. Then he drove in 72 RBIs and popped 16 home runs. He also made his first All-Star team that year as well. Now, no, Maris's breakthrough season did not earn him a contract extension with the A's, but it did earn him a trade to the New York Yankees in December of 1959. Now, Maris was a part of a 7-player deal that was being shipped to New York from Kansas City. The other notable player that was a part of the deal was one of the 4 players being sent back to Kansas City, and that was Don Larson, you know, the guy who pitched the perfect game in the World Series for the Yankees. That guy. Maris would make his Yankee debut on April the 18th of 1960 at Fenway Park in Boston, and he would not disappoint. As a 24-year-old, Maris would go 4 for 5 with a single, a double, and 2 home runs, leading the Yankees to an 8-4 win on opening day. Maris's 1960 season was his best to date, as a Yankee was named to the All-Star team once again and ended the regular season leading the AL in slugging percentage, .581, runs batted in, 112, and extra base hits, 64. Not to mention, he also hit 39 home runs and finished with a .283 batting average. And Maris was pretty solid on the grass as well, as he completed 263 putouts in 273 chances and only committed 4 errors all season long, and that was good enough for for a .985 fielding percentage. All in all, these numbers were enough for Maris to win AL MVP honors and take home the Gold Glove Award in 1960. However, the 1960 season was not all sunshine and rainbows for Maris, as the darkest clouds came on September the 16th when Pirates second baseman Bill Mazeroski hit a walk-off home run to win the 1960 World Series for the Pirates in 7 games over the Yankees. And now, although the ending of that season was a tough one, few could imagine how Maris could top his 1960 season in the following 61 campaign. Well, let me tell you, that narrative was debunked real quick. Now, the 1961 season was like no other before it, not only due to how the construction of the regular season had changed, but also due to the type of record that would eventually be broken later that year, and the man who would be responsible for breaking that record, which changed the sport of baseball forever. In 1961, the AL expanded from 8 teams to 10 teams. Out of this expansion, the Los Angeles Angels and Washington Senators were born. Thus, in order to maintain a balanced schedule, the AL owners extended the season from 154 games to 162 games. That would be an additional 8 games, roughly 1 more week. Now, just for reference, the National League did not match their schedule with the AL's for the 61 season. This wouldn't happen until later the next year in 1962. Now, here is kind of a freaky quote that Roger Maris himself told an Associated Press reporter that January regarding the possibility of someone breaking Babe Ruth's single-season home run record. Maris reportedly said, quote, "Nobody will touch it. Look up the records and you'll see that it's a rare year when anybody hits 50 home runs, let alone 60. Now in 61, the Yankee home runs began to come at a record pace. So much so that by the time mid-season approached, it seemed quite possible that either Maris or Mantle, or perhaps both, would be able to break Ruth's 34-year-old home run record. Thus, as a result of this rare phenomenon, sports writers began to publish a narrative that the, quote, Maris Mboys were against each other and fierce rivals. However, according to Yankee catcher Yogi Berra, this perceived rivalry was, quote, non-existent. However, despite these public claims by Berra, more and more Yankee fans began to side with Team Mickey, and Maris was ostracized as an outsider and not a true Yankee. Now, in the middle of the season, with the possibility of Ruth's record being broken growing, then baseball commissioner Ford Frick, a friend of Babe Ruth by the way, announced that unless Ruth's record was broken in the first 154 games of the 1961 season, the new record should be shown separately in the record books with some, quote, distinctive marker indicating it had been done in a 162 game season. Now, that quote-unquote distinctive marker would be an asterisk, as it was originally suggested by New York Daily News sports writer Dick Young. Now, let's be honest. Is it not appropriate that the guy's first name is Dick who came up with this? Like, come on. I mean, in my opinion, he lived up to his name. As Maris closed in on the Babe's record, he started to receive death threats, and NYPD detective Coran Burke was assigned to watch over him. Now, cold calls, hate mail, and death threats directed at himself and his children wasn't the only thing Maris had to suffer during his pursuit of immortality. Because during the final weeks of the 1961 season, Roger Maris visited a doctor in Baltimore, convinced he had contracted a serious illness because his hair began to fall out in small clumps. Now, the doctor reassured him that his hair loss was merely the result of stress that accompanied Maris' quest to break Ruth's single-season home run record. I also personally believe that the amount of hair loss was due to his smoking habits that only increased during the pursuit of Babe Ruth's home run record. Now, eventually, Maris would end up breaking the Babe's home run record, but not in the appropriate, quote-unquote, 154 game time span. Maris would end up tying Babe's record of 60 home runs on October the 26th in Baltimore off Jack Fisher. Then, 5 days later, he cracked number 61 off Tracy Stollard in Yankee Stadium in front of only 23,154 fans. Now, that crowd was frankly pathetic that day at Yankee Stadium. I personally feel so bad for Maris that he was labeled as a villain of not only Yankee fans, but of baseball fans during that time. That crowd, 23,000, that was shameful. Now, Maris's overall 1961 numbers would look like this. He batted .269, slugged .620, and he didn't even lead the league with slugging percentage, which is crazy. Hit a .993 OPS, had 132 runs, 61 home runs, and drove in 141 RBIs. Now, in my opinion, Maris's 1961 season is the single most greatest season by any individual player, ever. Only second to maybe Babe Ruth's 1927 season. And now I say this not only because Roger Maris broke one of the game's oldest records, but also because he was a part of a World Series championship team in the 1961 Yankees as they defeated the Cincinnati Reds in 5 games during that year's Fall Classic. Now, after that historic 1961 season, Maris would remain with New York for another 5 years. In 1962, Maris would make his final All-Star team and his 4th overall, after he batted .256, slugged .485, had an .840 OPS, 92 runs, hit 33 home runs, and drove in 100 RBIs. Now, this earned him another MVP award, making Maris the first to win back-to-back MVP awards in the AL since his teammate Mickey Mantle did so in 1956 and 1957. Not to mention, he was able to return to the Fall Classic with the Bombers. Now, Maris would play a pivotal role in that 1962 series, as in Game 7, he would make a spectacular defensive play after Giants outfielder Willie Mays hit a ball into the right field gap. Maris was able to cut off the ball and made a strong throw to prevent Matty Alou from scoring the tying run. And as a result, the play set up Willie McCovey's series-ending line drive to second baseman Bobby Richardson, capping what would prove to be the final World Series title for the Yankees until 1977. In 1963, Maris played in only 90 games, hitting .281, the second highest batting average of his career. However, the production numbers went down significantly, as he dropped under 30 home runs and 100 RBIs for the first time since 1959. His last season with the A's. Now, although Roger returned to the World Series with the Yankees, as it would be his 4th consecutive appearance, the disappointments continued for Maris in 1963 as he got injured in Game 2 of the series and would subsequently miss the rest of that Fall Classic. Now, the only stats that appeared by Roger's name for that 1963 World Series is a lone strikeout. Of course, the Yankees would go on to lose the 1963 World Series in a sweep at the hands of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, in 1964, Roger Maris rebounded, appearing in 141 games, batting .281, driving in 71 RBIs, collecting 81 runs of his own, and cracking 26 home runs to top all things off. And once again, Maris would make it back to the Fall Classic with America's team. In the 1964 World Series against the Cardinals, the now 29-year-old Maris was able to play in all 7 games, racking up 6 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, 1 RBI, and 1 home run. Now, most of the production he put up in that series came in Game 4 when he hit the home run and nabbed the lone RBI. Unfortunately, this was not enough for the Yankees to win the World Series, as it would eventually fall to the Redbirds in 7 games. In 1965, his physical problems returned, as originally, in a second game of a twin bill against the Twins, Roger slid into home plate, jamming his right hand against the home plate umpire's shin guard. Now, Roger was in the Yankees lineup the next few games, but in the nightcap of another doubleheader against the Athletics, he was forced to leave and did not return until August 18th, after missing 49 games. Not to mention a number of other injuries that plagued him throughout the 1965 season. Finally, that offseason, Maris would undergo surgery to remove a bone chip in his right hand. In 1966, however, his hand problems would return, and he played most of that season with a misdiagnosed broken bone in the same right hand. Finally, during the 1966 and 67 offseason, Maris was traded to the St. Louis Cardinals for infielder Charlie Smith. Now, Maris played his final 2 seasons with the Cardinals, helping them win back-to-back National League pennants in 1967 and 1968, with a World Series championship in 1967 as the Cardinals defeated the Boston Red Sox in 7 games. Now, the World Championship ring from '67 was Maris's third in the past 8 years. In the 1967 World Series, he hit .385 with a home run and 7 RBIs. This was Maris's best World Series performance of his career. Overall, in the final 2 years with the Cardinals, he would post a .258 batting average, a .392 slugging percentage, a .721 OPS, 186 hits, 100 RBIs, and 14 total home runs. Now, despite the statements made by Commissioner Frick in 1961, no asterisk was subsequently used beside Maris's home run record in any baseball record books. Speaking at the 1980 All-Star Game, Maris said, quote, "They acted as though I was doing something wrong, poisoning the record books or something. Do you know what I have to show for the 61 home runs? Nothing. Exactly nothing." Now, I will say, I think that last quote was the saddest part of this whole story. Whether you believe guys like Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, or Barry Bonds truly broke Maris's single-season home run record, I believe the criticism those 3 guys received after the word got out that pretty much all of them use steroids was fair. However, the criticism that Roger Maris received during 1961 was totally uncalled for, unnecessary, despicable, and heartbreaking to not only a sports fan, but heartbreaking for any human being who has a sense of decency. And I'm going to say this straight up. I believe Maris belongs in the Hall of Fame, solely based off of the 2 MVPs, the 7-time All-Star appearances, and the rare record that he broke. Not to mention the 3 World Series rings he earned during his 12-year career. And now, finally, I want to leave you with this thought. In the Sandlot movie, when Benny meets Babe Ruth in his dream, Ruth says to him, "Heroes get remembered, but legends never die." So, is Roger Maris a legend or a hero? Well, that's for you to decide. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more great baseball content like this all season long, I'm going to need you to like the video, share the video, tell your friends about this video and my channel. I would appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the red button, go subscribe, and as always, I will catch you guys later.